Hey everybody, whether it's your first time at Lagoon or you just want some tips and tricks, join us today on the XP Project. All right, so I know a lot of people are coming out to this park for the very first time. I know a majority of the people that are at this park probably have been coming here for 30 plus years. But I just want to kind of give a few things that are my tips and tricks to make the day out here just a little bit more enjoyable. I try to come in and out and you know, with the least amount of misery or problems that I can. So we're going to kind of go over a few of those things right now. So first thing we're going to talk about is single rider lines, which is a huge thing at most amusement parks. There are two rides at Lagoon that have single rider. That's Cannibal and Wicked. So we're going to go check out both those now, and I'll kind of give you a little insight on how those work. All right, so single rider works a little bit different at this park than it does at other parks that I've been to. So there is a separate single rider line on both of these rides, but you have to hit a certain point of the line first. So the reason I mention that is because during Frightmares times, the lines on Wicked and Cannibal are going to be like your two longest ride lines at the park. Rattlesnake Rapids will be up there too, but it gets kind of cold, so that's not always a super long line. So you have to hit these certain choke points first, and then you divert off into a single rider line. So we're going to go on Cannibal first, and I'll show you what that one looks like. All right, so I will say Cannibal is the longest wait at the park during the off season, so you'll definitely want to take advantage of single rider. So if you look at that queue right there, right at that corner basically where the lion's pointing its face, you're going to break off into single rider, and from there it's, I mean, it's like 5-minute wait maybe, if that. But this line can get really long, almost as far back as the bumper cars. All right, so that's where single rider breaks off, and then you're gonna walk up front. It usually shaves like an extra like 20, 25, 30 minutes off the whole thing.
Welcome back. Please exit to your right.
So what normally would have been about a 25-35 minute wait was shaved down easily to like 8 minutes. So that single rider will make it go a lot faster for you. All right, so if you look at the queue where it was going, basically what's going to happen is you have to get to where that sign says single rider. So I kind of clocked this last year. Like if the line's going right back to like that Colossus gate, you're probably going to wait about 20-25 minutes to get to the Wicked sign. Then you're probably going to wait about another like 10 minutes to get over to the single rider queue. Then at that point you'll split off, and at that point it's basically a walk-on. You might have like a couple people in single rider, but it's pretty much just going to be a walk-on after that. So it does shave a pretty good amount off because you're not having to go up through the tunnel. But I mean, single rider's not going to get you direct on. It's not like a lightning lane. It just makes the time a little bit faster. All right, so one really good thing about this park is that you can pretty much bring a cooler of food, drinks, things like that into the park with you. So that's not a concern. One thing that's not so great is that you cannot take bags on pretty much any ride here. There are a couple like of the super slow rides you can, but if you're used to the whole Disney situation where you can like bring your bag on every single ride, you cannot do that here. They do have free locker rentals in front of most of the major rides. So as long as you just use those, they don't cost anything. They're free. You get them for like, I think they're like good for like 20 minutes or something. But those are free at the most major rides. But just know it's really best to not have like a bag around with you. But they do have the lockers you can rent for the whole day as well. But just know that you can't take the bags on most of the rides. All right, so just as I predicted, 20 minutes from the extended queue to the regular queue, and then the regular queue was about 10 to 12 minutes by my clock. Now we're gonna hit this corner here, we'll go straight into the single rider line, and it's walk on from right there. So for a pretty busy day and a long queue for Wicked, we were on in like 30-35, which is actually pretty good for this time of year. So it'll shave off, I'd say that probably shaves off an extra 20 minutes by far. So do me a quick favor, hit a comment below. I want to hear what you guys think are the worst, most miserable queues at any park, at Lagoon and not at Lagoon. I'll give you mine. At Lagoon is the Rocket, hands down. If there's more than like 10 people in that queue, I don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. The load time is so bad on that one that it's so hard to get on and off fast on that one. Now, not at Lagoon, easy winner, Peter Pan's Flight at Disneyland. Worst queue in the world. The load time is so bad on that one, and it can only run a certain amount of people through per day. That's a rough one. I want to hear what yours are. Let me know in the comments. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some pricing, because I know that that's a little bit of a sore spot for the community. So here's the thing. If you're only coming out here just one time ever, like for the season, you're gonna kind of pay a good amount of money. There's not really any sugarcoating around it. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Disney. If you just go one day, you know, it's gonna cost you a little bit. If you're planning on going at least 3 to 4 times plus, which obviously is the boat I'm in, you need to get a season pass. Just when you break it down, I think I broke it down last year. I came about 80 times, and I know most people aren't gonna come that much, I get that. But even if you came about half that much, I broke it down, and it ends up being like, for me, it was like $2 a day or something to come to the park. And so getting a season pass is the way to go. And also, if you're gonna come more than that 4 times, getting a parking pass is also the way to go. I put a little sign right there showing the prices for the parking, just so you can kind of have an idea of that. But I'm telling you, season pass is the way to go if you're gonna come more than, you know, 2 or 3 times. Now, if you're only gonna come 1 time, you're kind of just gonna pay. I mean, there's not really any way around that. Just like I said, like at Disneyland or Universal or anything like that, there's not really any discounts or any good deals, so to speak, for only coming 1 time. So I would say just come out a couple times, 2-3 times a year, get a season pass. It will pay for itself, guaranteed. All right, everybody, I got a little bit of a grin on my face. I knew this was gonna happen. They have now got a sign up for the Halloween themed shows at the theater. So we're gonna do, it's gonna be a Plank and Plunder pirate party, which will probably be like a fun, it says for kids, fun little thing. And then they've got Lore, the Tale of the Adopted Sister. These are coming September 8th with the opening of Frightmare, which in my prediction is gonna be right around the Primordial opening as well. So I would assume probably in the next like 2 to 3 weeks, these Alice in Wonderland and Smoke and Mirrors things will probably come down, and then they'll probably update those with new ones. I'm so excited because I knew that there was gonna be shows for the Halloween time. It's like that every year. And if they're even a quarter as good as the ones that they did during the summer, we're really in for a treat. I'm excited. All right, so I know I kind of sound like a little bit of a broken record here, and I'll just keep saying this. Frightmares is a whole different beast at this park. And we're kind of going into Frightmares right now because the main season is done. So the walk-on ride days that you've been seeing in my videos, they're done now. You really won't get a walk-on day except for maybe like holiday weekends. Sometimes it's a little bit slower. But I mean, I'm walking over to Wicked right now. It's already a hefty queue. It's only 11 in the morning. The weekend is the only time people can come now, so they're gonna only come on the weekends. It just makes the crowds longer and everything, so just kind of prepare yourself. It's not miserable. It's not like Disney where like you've got like 3-hour waits on rides or things like that at times, but it definitely gets busy, so just prepare yourself for that. But it is the funnest time of the year, no question. All right, so another thing I wanted to mention too, just in our little tips for tricks here, the beer garden is open, and I've mentioned this before, the beer garden's open all year long. So if you're kind of like feeling your little bit of miss from Lagoon during the off season, come out. I mean, no rides are open obviously because there's like 3 feet of snow, but it's kind of fun to come out to the beer garden. They actually decorate it up kind of nicely, and during the holiday season it's really fun to come check it out. They've got amazing food there too, so that's something you can do if you're kind of missing Lagoon. I like to come a couple times during the off season. All right, so a couple things I want to mention. I know everyone that's a regular here doesn't really probably care about this information, but I do know that there are some people that come like from out of state and whatnot. So a couple things. Right across the freeway from Lagoon, there's a place called Station Park. It's a huge outdoor shopping mall. That place is awesome. So if you come into town, just hit that up real quick. There's a lot of really cool stores. There's a water fountain, just really cool. During the winter time, they have an ice skating rink there, and they deck that thing out like super Christmassy too. So if you're coming to Lagoon, obviously it won't be during that time, but if you haven't been to Station Park, go over there. It's really awesome. The other thing too is there is one hotel that's almost across the street from Lagoon, and it is called the Hampton Inn, just the regular Hampton Inn. And that's probably the best place to stay if you're coming from out of town to see Lagoon, because it's just right across the street. All right, so this little tip and trick is gonna sound kind of dumb, but I'm telling you, this has been a godsend on hot days. There's this little salad shop called Fresh right as you get into Pioneer Village, and I spend a lot of time back here. They've got 2 huge AC units pumping air right at the door. So if you need to just cool down for a second, go stand in front of those doors. Oh man, it's heaven. On these super hot days, I'll tell you, like, Pioneer Village is one of the best places to come. I always like to come into this little circus building because they've always got good AC going and just good little things like that to cool down. Also, Dracula's Castle and Terrorite are good ones to go into for coolness too, but they're so short. I mean, you're only going to cool down for like a minute and a half. I'm at my peaceful spot, Pioneer Village. I'll tell you, it's always kind of a little bit of a shock that first you know, off-season week, which this is, and what I mean by that is just that they're not open during the regular weekdays, but it's always just like a little bit of a shock because, you know, you've seen my videos. Most of my videos, I'm like basically like alone here at the park, but not really, but it's just walk-ons on everything. And this is the first weekend, and it's busy out here, and we got out here early too. We were here almost right when it opened, and it's already really busy, so it's just kind of a little bit hard to get used to that at first. But Pioneer Village is always so quiet. It's so great to come back here. So I know I'm having you guys hit a lot of comments down. I got another good one for you. So at any park you've been to, what's the best spot to cool down? That's a good question. So for me, it's the circus building at Lagoon or that Fresh restaurant. I will say at Disney though, there's a pretty clear winner, and that's the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, no question. Because the show's fairly long, and so, you know, on a hot day, go in there, you can kind of like look around the museum first, and then you get to sit and see the show. That's a great way to cool down. Another honorable mention, Tiki Room at Disney. Great time. Go sit down. It's actually dark in there, so it's super cool. Great show too. So I did want to ask you guys also, if any of you guys are like regulars at Knott's Berry Farm, we're going to be there next month. What's the fast pass situation like there, and do they have single riders at that one too? Because the last 2 times I've been at Knott's, I was in a major rush. It was like a late at night situation, and so I didn't really get to like dig into the fast pass or the single rider. We just kind of ran on every ride as fast as we could, and it was the middle of summer, so like it was packed. But I did see the fast pass thing online, and then I wanted to see if they had single rider. So if you know anything about that, just to help me prepare for my trip next month, let me know. All right, so this is what I'm expecting is the last thing to be set up for Halloween, the kids Spookaboo. So this will be basically like the kids trick-or-treat spook area. That little Spookaboo is great. The kids can go in there. They give you like a little bag, and then you go around to like different little theme things. Like I didn't go last year because I didn't have any little kids to go in with, but they like one of the rooms will be like a 70s diner, and like, you know, somebody dressed up in 70s stuff, and then they give you a little piece of candy and the kids can go through. It's great. Now it used to be located where the fire was at the candy store, so it was a little bit easier to access before. Now it's at the very back, right across from the church in Pioneer Village, and I actually like that it's back there because it kind of pulls some crowds back to the back during Frightmares, which this park vastly needs because it's so busy during Frightmares. So it's really helpful in my opinion.
Dad, if you go in there,
All right, I rarely give secrets out, So you're in for a real treat right now. While we're on a tip and tricks video here, I want to show you the best bathroom at the park, but only let me use this bathroom, because if everyone starts using it, it's not going to be the best bathroom anymore. All right, so this bathroom is located, if you go to the Bat, and then you go straight east. So if you're not from Utah, just go towards the mountains. So you go straight back, and it's this little blue and gray building. This bathroom's like rarely very busy. Now it will get a little busier during Frightmares because it's right by the haunted houses, but I think the reason it doesn't get that busy is because people just don't know there's a bathroom back here. There's just a lot of like tables and chairs and foyers and stuff back here, so I think people just don't really know it exists. It's a great location for a bathroom, but people just don't know it exists. And so in my opinion, like, if you got to go in there and be in there for a little while, it's one of the best ones to be in. I will say the worst bathroom to be in is in the kids land. It's the one that's right across from like the balloon pop game and where the kids bumper cars used to be. That bathroom is jam packed all the time, and it's one I rarely go into unless I absolutely have to. All right, so one thing I did want to talk about also, I mentioned this in a lot of videos, but again, tips and tricks. Lagoon is kind of different than every other amusement park that I go to. So planning for this park is so much different than like planning for Disney, because they run so differently, and the off season's a whole different situation too. I know at Disney, and this has just been my experience, I know that holidays tend to be the more busy time to go there. Like I've heard if you go on like Thanksgiving Day, it's brutal at Disney. Here at Lagoon, it's different. So here at Lagoon, holidays tend to be a little slower. Now there's a couple holidays that do get a little busier, but judge as you will. Halloween is crazy. That weekend and stuff is crazy because people love Frightmares. But like Mother's Day, Father's Day, like Labor Day, like things like that tend to be very slow here at Lagoon. And I'll tell you why my theory is. I think it's because here in Utah, a lot of people spend family time camping and doing outdoorsy stuff on those holidays. So they're not really going to Lagoon. Whereas like at Disney, the holidays like, oh, let's get the family together, go to Disney. So I think that's why it's so slow during those times. So like Mother's Day, Father's Day, come out here, it's super dead. And so that's just kind of another weird little tip and trick. But like I said, it's not that way for other parks. It's just Lagoon's just a little different sometimes, All right, I do got to mention during the Halloween time too, they do have these time warps. So this is the only fast pass that Lagoon actually offers at their entire park, which is kind of odd. And put in the comments if you think that they should have a fast pass system. I don't know if the volume's quite here during the regular season to really warrant fast passes here, or like a lightning lane like Disney does. It just doesn't seem like the volume's that high yet, but I could see that happening someday for like, your rides like Cannibal and Primordial and stuff. But those warp passes are the only fast passes you can get at this park, and it does shave quite a bit of time off, like a lot of time off your waiting for the haunted houses. And those are for the haunted houses, and those are like typical haunted houses that you just see during Halloween time. Super fun, but I don't really buy the fast passes just because they aren't super cheap. But I mean, if you want to get on all those things and you're only out here for one day, I say get the fast pass. I mean, I'll be out here like 30 times during Frightmares, so there's not really a need for it for me, but I say if you're only out here one day, get those. You're gonna shave a ton of time off. So I just got a really good shot of Primordial test track running up that backside where the first hill is that you go up. So head over to my shorts and my TikTok. I've got a video of that on there. I just happened to be walking by and saw it there. So like I said, I think we're getting close. I'm still predicting that start of Frightmares, but it's running now. So, another thing I wanted to mention also, there are a lot of carnival style games here, which are really fun, but they only take cash. So just maybe bring out like 20 bucks cash or something, just so that you can do those things, because I know that the kids are going to get to those and be like, oh, I want to do like a ring toss or milk jug bottle game or something like that, but they do only take cash, so just maybe have some cash handy. All right, so I know that one big thing for people is that it's hard to get souvenirs, just because souvenirs get so expensive at these parks. One thing that Lagoon does that I really like is they've got these grab bags, and they're $10, and they just have random stuff from the park. We actually pulled one the other day that had like a free pair of shoes ticket in it. So if you're not like wanting to spend a ton of money, but you still want to get your kids something, a couple kids could open that, and it would be a fun little event for them. While I was in here, I saw these Lagoon sweaters. These are amazing. $36.99. I really like the scheme on those, and the fabric's like heavy but not super heavy, and they've got pink and green. These are great. Come check these out. All right, everybody, that's gonna do it for our little tips and tricks video today. It's kind of actually starting to get a little overcast, and I think it might be raining here. Hey, quick thing. Thank you so much for the follows. Thank you for the subscribes. It means so much to me. And if you could do me a little favor, drop a comment down below. If you can think of any tips and tricks at the park, I know there's a lot more than what I went over today. Put that in the comments. Thanks for joining us on the XP Project.